A long time ago, I quickly asserted that the Donkey Kong from the Game Boy version of Donkey Kong was actually Donkey Kong Jr. and the father of the modern Thai-loving gorilla. I'd like to spend a little more time covering specifically why this makes sense. What we know for sure is that there have been 3 Donkey Kongs. Cranky was the first, and he and Wrinkly had a son of their own, who had a son of his own. We also know the third DK was never a Donkey Kong Jr., as Yoshi's Island 2 reveals the infant Donkey Kong we know today. We also know Cranky Kong appeared in the arcade hits Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. 2, joined by his young son. He also likely was the one who appeared in Donkey Kong 3 terrorizing Stanley. Donkey Kong Jr. has mostly been portrayed as having dark fur versus Cranky usually having reddish, mahogany fur, and the third having brown. In the Game Boy Donkey Kong, DK was portrayed as black, even on the Super Game Boy with enhanced color. Other differences include a moderate cowlick, something that Donkey Kong Jr. was often portrayed with. This Donkey Kong did bring a Donkey Kong Jr. with him, and this will be very important to the larger theory. We know the third Donkey Kong has had an epic cowlick since his infancy. Perhaps this Donkey Kong sharing traits between the other two is the missing generation. If it isn't, it begs the question of who and where the second Donkey Kong is. Are you convinced this incarnation might just be the second Donkey Kong? Well, is there enough evidence to figure out how all of the Kongs are related? I mean, we know Diddy is the third Donkey Kong's best friend and nephew, and that Dixie and Tiny are sisters. Wait, Diddy's DK's nephew? DK is a gorilla and Diddy is a monkey. But wait, Dixie is also a monkey, but where is her tail and her sister's an ape? Monkey thing. How is this possible?
It's only a fantasy.
I know, but I wanted to believe it.
Wait, I've got it. There's only one way to explain this. Diddy is not Donkey Kong's nephew. Dixie is his niece, and he has a brother. This brother is none other than Funky Kong, the Donkey Kong Jr. the second Donkey Kong brought with him on the Game Boy. And these two brothers are feuding over the same girl. Dixie and Tiny are indeed the children of Candy and Funky. Candy, Dixie, and Tiny all have mixed traits. Tiny and Candy have forward-facing toes like humans and some monkeys, but Dixie has split chimpanzee and gorilla toes like Diddy. This is very telling considering Diddy is a chimpanzee with a tail. Chimps are apes and therefore do not have tails. The only other primate these four resemble is the macaque, a monkey that can both have a tail and be tailless. Assuming Dixie did not remove her tail for cosmetic purposes, this sounds plausible, but has less traits in common with these apes. The other conclusion we can draw is that we are dealing with a world where there is no ape-monkey distinction. These primates are capable of breeding with any other primate, and this has led to hybrids.
It's only a fantasy.
I know, but I wanted to believe it.
Diddy is part chimp and part monkey, as is Candy and her daughters. This also explains the difference in appearance between these two sisters. Dixie received more chimpanzee genes than gorilla, and Tiny received more gorilla genes. Adding more evidence to this theory, Dixie and Tiny have two cousins who are clearly full gorillas. Kitty and Reggie Fils-Aimé, Chunky, are brothers, and Funky confirmed Kitty is Dixie's cousin. And before you say it was in an evolutionary sense, no, these Kongs are described as nephews, uncles, brothers, and sisters. When someone says cousins, we know it is literal. It would be evil to use such terms and then use cousins figuratively. Now to complete the tree, we must find out who is the father. Swanky is possible. He could be a third brother, but it is hard to say given how scarcely he has appeared. He does seem to have some interest in DK's well-being though. Let's provisionally say he is a brother and Donkey Kong Jr. really was a lady's gorilla. Still, Kitty and Chunky are probably DK's kids. Swanky is much too busy to raise two children running his game shows. Besides, he charges toddler Kitty to play his games. What is a greater indicator is what Funky says. DK and Diddy had gone off to explore an uncharted continent. The first thing Funky tells Dixie is that he was left Kitty to babysit, and then he asks Dixie to take him off his hands. Assuming DK has two children, if he was going to be gone for an extended period, who would he leave his children with? His cranky grandfather and narcoleptic grandmother? His smarmy traveling brother who runs gambling games before packing up and moving elsewhere when the authorities come to check the legality of it all? Or his surfer brother who would rather chill than adventure? Why would Dixie accept the responsibility of babysitting? Perhaps because she respects her father and knows Kitty, the son of her uncle, is probably still the greatest ally she has. Kitty loves and idolizes his father and needs him. What of Lanky? He's been described similarly to Mankey as a distant member of the family. Perhaps Lanky is a Mankey who is reconciled with DK. Oh, but we've forgotten about Diddy. If he isn't actually related to DK, then who is he? Well, remember he's been in an LTR with DK's niece. It wouldn't be odd after a while he would begin calling him his nephew, expecting the two to soon pair and Diddy to become his nephew-in-law, despite chimps being bisexual and not monogamous. Gorillas are polygamous though, so DK may still expect them to pair. What is more interesting is DK only considered Diddy to be his best friend until Donkey Kong 64, at which point he and the other Kongs began considering him to be DK's nephew. Perhaps they actually did pair after Wrinkly's death. By digging around the series' mythos, we can find context and clues to figure these mysteries out, and try to evaluate these fictional worlds using the native rules of their universe. Not apply real-world physics and rules so we can conclude things about the breasts of fictional women with clearly divergent physiologies from our world. Does Donkey Kong and Mario's universe allow for greater interspecies breeding? It would certainly explain a lot.